Everyone hear me? Can anyone hear me? Can you use the chat if you can hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, yeah, okay. Makes sense. So just let's give a few minutes for others to come in, right? But while we wait, I want to make sure that this is actually recording because yeah. But how is the audio? Is it like perfect or like can it be better? Let me know if I will increase my input. Really is clear. Okay, sharp. Okay, makes sense. So while we still wait for more people to join. So if you know anyone that like registered, right, and they're not here, so you can just like reach out to them and yeah, before we get started. Okay, I see more people are joining. Can you hear me? You said no sound, but can you hear me, Emmanuel? I'm yet to start, so hence maybe that's why you're not hearing anything. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now? I know I'm little under there, but if you can see my screen, just let me know. Screen visible. Okay, perfect. So let's just wait for 2 more minutes. So we'll start by um depending on your time, right? So while everybody's here, you can just like tell me where you're joining in from, right? So the city, the country, or where you're joining in from at the moment, just to like know, right? Like who and who is here and stuff like that. So yeah. Yeah, this is someone from Lagos, Nigeria. My Nigeria people, welcome. Ipswich, England. I'm currently in England now. My neighbor, Abuja, Nigeria. Nice, nice. So we'll start in 1 minute. Lagos, Nigeria. Joining from Lagos. Welcome, Miss Amma. So I guess, yeah, a few more seconds and we'll just get started. As one of another person from Glasgow. Okay, nice. Okay, I guess we can just get started, right? And people will join over time. So welcome everyone. Thank you for registering for this master class. This is like the first time me doing like something called a master class. I've been giving talk for a long time, right? But doing something called a master class. So yeah, the goal, right? How to speak at these conferences in 2026, even if you are have never spoken at one before, right? And this is like a high goal, like the dream goal, right? So let's get right into it. So let me just ask you something, right? I know like so many of you here might be feeling one of these. So maybe you feel you're not experienced enough to speak at a conference or something like that, right? You may also have this feeling of like speaking is only for engineers with large following, people that are on LinkedIn that make noise like me, or several other people that work in big companies and stuff like that. And this is a recurring thing for many people I talk with, right? Experienced engineers, mid-level, seniors, that they say that, oh, like, I thought it's only you have to work for AWS or so before like you can get to speak at an event, right? Or something like that, right? But that is not entirely true. And so if you have this feeling, you're welcome. And this like webinar would help you. This masterclass will help you shave off that feeling, right? Another feeling is like, what would I even talk about? Right? Like, what do I know that I can talk about? That's like a good feeling, a valid feeling rather. And like that poses a lot of questions. And the next one is like, I feel nervous just thinking about being on stage. To be honest, right? Every time, like I'm nervous now. Let me just like be playing with you. Every time I speak with people, I'm nervous, right? Even though like it may not seem like so. Every time that I have to speak with people, right, to speak on stage. I remember I was in California this time last year giving a talk, and I was so nervous beforehand. And I asked a friend of mine that's like 50 years old, and I've been giving talks for like more than two times my lifespan, right? And he said it's same thing, right? No matter how often you do it. So it's okay to be nervous. And I think that would breed you being like detailed, right? So let's just get right into it. So if you stay to the end, right, we'll send you via email a 25-page speaker's toolkit that has everything I talked about in this presentation and more. And also the presentation itself. And also there'll be a Q&A at the end, right? So you can ask like me any specific question. I'll try to like run through so we'll have more time to like answer questions and stuff like that, right? So let's get to it. So whom am I, right? Or who I am, I don't know English. So my name is Divine Olazie. I'm a CNCF ambassador. I'm also a founder of Everything DevOps. I've worked with several organizations over my career, from Cilium, right, to Ansible, which I believe most of us will know Ansible, right, the infrastructure configuration tool. And also I was featured at KubeCon, a cloud native conference for my work on community and documentation, right? And on a monthly basis, I reach engineers, over 100,000 engineers through the conferences I've done, LinkedIn posts, blogs that I've written, and several stuff that I've done over the years, right? And yeah, so my speaking journey, you must have, when signing up for this masterclass, you must have seen this, right? So 2018, this is me, 2018 in Ogun State, like speaking at university meetups, right? This is about 8 years ago now. I can remember vividly those days. Time flies. And in 2022, right? So 2 years after, 4 years rather, I did more meetups, right? University meetups and stuff. I started speaking at virtual events, right? Some in Africa or some virtually all over the world. And fast forward now, like from 2022 to 2025, 5 years, right? 3 years, right? I hosted an event in Atlanta in the United States, right? I'm Nigerian, right? I'm not from the US, but so this gives you an idea of what is possible, right? And where you can go, right, with speaking, with sharing your thoughts, with sharing your expertise and stuff like that. So yeah, so, like I already said, if I from a small town, right, I was born in Port Harcourt, right? So for the Nigerians here, they will know Port Harcourt, right? Can do this, right? You, wherever you are now, with your experience, wherever you are all over the world, you can actually do this. I see some people here from the US, some people from the UK, some people from Nigeria, right, and stuff. So wherever you are, you can do this. So my life right now is I do a lot of traveling. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you see that I'm posting about traveling and stuff, right? And conferences have paid for my travel, right? Like we talk about like securing the funding and stuff like that, right? So in 2023, I was at the Open Source Summit in Bilbao, Spain, and I got to visit where they filmed the scenes of Dragonstone of Game of Thrones. So if you know Dragonstone, right, in Game of Thrones, if you watch Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, and the series, right, you know, like where the dragons were kept and the dragon glass and stuff like that, right? Let me not go into the mythology and stuff. So I visited the scenes, right, and stuff like that, right? Also, this is a picture of me and my lovely mother in London, the St. Paul's Cathedral. And this is me at an AWS event, right? I was riding a horse in Nevada desert, right? And how did I get opportunity to travel and do all this is through like conferences. And that is the possibility of what I want to tell you, and it's possible. And all three of these, right, I'm proud to say that I've never really paid for any conference that I go to, right? Because I always get funding in one means or the other. And that's what I want to share the knowledge with you this presentation. So what are we going to cover? So let's jump right into it. Hey me, thanks for joining from Nairobi, right? So I've never been to Kenya. Maybe next year I'm planning. I have a lot of Kenyan friends. So yeah, what are we going to cover? We're going to cover first how to strategically choose conferences, not just like apply randomly, right? So it's proven CFP framework that improves acceptance. I've reviewed tons of CFPs over the years as a program committee member, also as a conference organizer. And there are times that you see a CFP, you just like, this is not going to get accepted, right? And stuff like that. So I guess it's supposed to be 1, 2, 3, but I guess 1, 2, 1. But regardless, yeah. Then the next one, how to secure conference funding that covers your travel and ticket costs. Because most times, right, especially people that are like trying to get to a conference in different continents and stuff like that, it takes a lot to travel, flight, hotel, and all right, that's right. So securing funding is very important. Like I wouldn't have gone to some of those conferences I've gone, and most of the conferences I've gone without like funding and all. So I want to share my knowledge and experience doing that and how it can help you. So yeah, so finding the right conferences. Let's go to that. So first of all, finding the right conferences. So I just want to like check in, right? Everyone can hear me clearly. You can see the screen. Everything works perfectly, right? Just like let me know in the chats. Yeah, I'm waiting in the chats. Let you know, Bill, I'm talking to myself. Yeah, everything's all right. Okay, perfect, perfect. So finding the right conferences, right? That's where the work is. Uh so yeah, there are different types of speaking events, right? There are regular conferences, expect 50 to 1,000 people, sometimes 10,000, 100,000. For example, re-events, right? When I was at re-event, like there were over 100,000 developers from all over the world, right? So virtual conferences 10 to 200 people and stuff like that. Then you have meetups, right? I won't really classify it as a conference, but meetups is a conference, right? Because you're bringing people together and stuff. So these are smaller, 10 to 50 people. I know it's more intimate and like the conversations are more informal, right? And stuff like that. So yeah, having an idea of these types of conference. Someone say they can't hear me. Yeah, but everyone say they can hear me. I'll just go on since like the general consensus is that everyone can hear me, right? But if it changes, just like text in the chat, right? And yeah, so finding the right speaking opportunities. So there are different ways, right, to find right speaking opportunities, conferences. There are aggregators and then there's communities. So aggregators are basically websites that bring together a list of conferences, right? List of conferences all over the world, events all over the world, and also there's one called developer events. There's the DevOps Days events, series of events that happen in different countries and stuff like that. Uh, there is also paper call. So paper call is a tool that helps people like submit proposals and stuff. Sessionize is a tool similar to that and all, right. And meetup.com is a tool like that helps you find meetups and stuff near you. So what I want to do is like is different from regular conference stuff like that. So I'll click on regular like presentation. So I want to show you like not just showing you from a slide, but show you. So I'm going to click on these developer conferences, right? Aggregator. So I clicked on it and then I'll see like developer conferences agenda, right? I'll share the slide after this masterclass. So you can see a whole list of conferences happening all over the world and when their CFP would end. right? So, for example, this Security Ninja user group in Switzerland, the CFP expires. You have to submit an application before 12 June. And you can scroll down. Yeah, most conferences, their CFP are closed, but we are still yet to go through the main conferences period at the end of the year, right? For example, I saw someone is in Bristol, right? Someone is in Bristol, someone is in the UK. So if you're interested to go for this Pixel Pioneer conference, right, you can see the CFP expires in 13th of April. So you can note it down. DevOps Days Amsterdam, right? There are several conferences. So this is an aggregator. It shows you list of conferences happening all over the world. Obviously, all aggregators will not have like all the conferences like in the world, right? So that's why like I can recommended a few, right? So if I go back to the presentation, right? So there's these DevOps Days. DevOps Days is a series of DevOps conferences that happen all over the world, right? Some of them are in the aggregator that I just showed you, some of them are not. So you can go through it and find, oh, when is the one that's happening in my city? For example, people in the UK can click on, I can see someone said it's not visible. Can you see my screen? Can you see what I'm showing, DevOps Days? Can someone like acknowledge if they are seeing? Just waiting for confirmation. So, yeah. Okay, can hear and see clearly. Perfect. So, for example, that I'm in the UK also, people in the UK, right? You can click like on, yeah, DevOps Days London. This is when it's happening. Get in touch with the organizers. You can click to see more, to know what's happening and all, right? So this aggregator brings all the conferences. I know someone here is in the US. Or if you're close to Denver, maybe you want to go to DevOps Days Denver, DevOps Days Dallas, or several, or Nashville in Tennessee, right? And all, right? So there are several other aggregators, PaperCall. Because of our time, I won't go through all of them. Meetup.com. We all know Meetup.com. Trying to open the website now. You can just search like your city, search, let's say if you're doing like cyber security and stuff like that, right? You can search cyber security, and then like you see events happening. I'm currently in Manchester in the UK. You see events happening all around that have reference to cyber security and so. So this is how to find events. Then communities, Slack channels, right? If you're in the CNCF, they have the CNCF Slack channel, there are several Slack channels. You can follow hashtags and stuff like that, right? Also, if you're following people that post a lot and make noise, like me, for example, I share a lot of like events and conferences and stuff like that. Another thing that you can have in mind in finding conferences is conference series, right? So, for example, KubeCon happens all over the world. It happens in the US, in Japan, in the UK, in Europe, and in some other country, in India too, right? And in China. So if you're in any of these like continents, right, you can like keep track on that particular one happening in your continent. Hopefully, within the next couple of years, there'll be a KubeCon in Africa, right? So that's why we're working towards that. So DevOps Days, right? Google Dev Fest and stuff. So you can follow that and subscribe to the events, right? So in order to go next, moving on. So this is an action item for you to get started. I would urge you to go to any of these aggregators, find events that are near you, right? Put them in your calendar, put reminders, right? Add the reminders in your calendar so as to stay updated. Then apply. Like you will never know until you apply. So now, how would you apply? Like, can you create a CFP and stuff like that? Well, we'll go to the next part of this masterclass: crafting a winning CFP. Right. So I've reviewed hundreds of CFPs. Right? I think getting to 1,000 at this point over the course of my career. And most often than not, I see conference topic titles being so vague. For example, saying cloud native best practices. There are a lot of blogs on cloud native best practices. Why would someone want to listen to you talk about cloud native best practices? So a winning CFP should be specific. It should be actionable. It should have outcome. It should tell the reader what to expect from the title. Right. For example, look at this, right? From 4-hour deploys to 4 minutes, how we automated our Kubernetes pipeline. So that's interesting, and that's is an outcome based, it's specific, it shows what it's all about. Then that is the title. Then if you go down to like abstract or description, these are screenshots from the speakers toolkit, which I will send to everyone that attended, right? So you can spend time and read that, even the slides too, right? So when you want to start writing a CFP, right, you need to start from, you need to have like a hook. Why? The problem, right? If you've heard this, always start with why. That is the idea that comes across many aspects of life. So start with why. Why should someone care about it? So you can start with why from a personal experience, which is a pain point people can reflect on, right? Start with why. Talk about what you're going to cover, the promise, right? And what would be talked about in this talk, right? So the why, the what, how. Think about it from that perspective. That summarizes this. We can't spend so much time going in depth into like this example CFPs, hence why like we created the toolkit and I'm going to send it to you, right? And from a program committee perspective, me reviewed CFPs and like organizing conferences. These are things we look at. Is it clear, right? Does it solve a real problem? You can't be saying cognitive best practices, then you bring a presentation that's just a carbon copy of a blog, or just bring basic stuff and all, right? Also, what about the speaker? The speaker's credibility. Speaker's credibility now in this sense is not that the speaker must have spoken in tons of conferences, right, or stuff like that. But speaker credibility is, do they understand? Can they deliver on the promise? Can they talk about what they say they want to talk about? So that is how like we evaluate stuff as program committee members, right? So your CFP has to be grounded and specific, right? And also, what have they been doing? Where are they working? Plays a role. What have they been working on? So now, yeah, as I said, where are they working? You might think, oh, I must be working for this company or not. I've given several talks being independent, not working for any company, because I was able to demonstrate credibility in other ways, open source contribution, projects I worked on, the way I wrote the presentation too. So I want you to always think about that. So you can dive deep into this after the presentation and when you get this speaker tool guide to use to align any CFP you write. So there's another thing, right? What to avoid. A lot of times in open source conferences, most conferences are like open source or community based. You see people like doing a sales pitch, trying to sell a product and stuff like that. Please avoid like marketing or sales pitch in conferences, in CFPs and all like that, because like it gets an automated like rejection. So always avoid that. And like you can use this checklist, right? Have you answered what will the attendees gain clearly, right? How is the tied to outcome specific? You can use this checklist, right, to know like, okay, will does my CFP fit this requirement? And also, it's important to remember you don't need to be the world's foremost expert. You just need to solve it. You just need to solve a problem worth sharing. You just need to have an idea, right? Worth sharing and like communicate your idea, right? So I just want to do another check-in while I still talk. If you can hear me, just like let me know you can hear me. If you can't, let me know. So just like to check in or the health of like our presentation and stuff like that. So scan this QR code, right, to get like a detailed guide on how to submit a proposal and a proposal sample. So you can scan this QR code with your phone. If you're not able to scan it now, don't worry, you're getting the presentation, you're getting everything. So don't worry about that. Then the next slide, oh, time is flying. Then the next slide, yeah, action item for you. So you have the list of conferences you've aligned, right? Now, create a folder in your laptop, in your drive, in your Google Drive, and start creating your first CFP of something you can relate with, of a problem you have solved, of something that is you're most interested in, or something you've been working on, and then apply, right? So with all that, giving you understanding and all, and how to write a CFP, you have a sample you can replicate a CFP with now. Now, to the main thing that is the core, right? Let's say you get your CFP accepted. Woo, congratulations. What next? You have to get yourself to the conference. If it's a virtual conference, obviously you just need the internet, stable internet, and stuff like that, and you can like deliver, right? But if it's a physical conference, you have to be there in person. So how can you like secure conference funding? So sadly, not all conferences offer funding support. That's sad. But the good news, right, is that there are some of them do, right? And the ones that do are greater than the ones that don't, right? So and I'm gonna show you them. So yeah, so these are conferences that offer speaker funding, right? And there are so many more. So Linux Foundation conferences, like I've mentioned KubeCon, I've mentioned SSFCon. Linux Foundation conferences, there are all over 100 plus conferences all over the world, in many cities, KCDs, like towns, and several all over the world, right? I spoke at Cloud Native Lome few days ago and all, right? So as a speaker, once you get accepted, most of their conferences you can apply to get a funding, you can apply to get a scholarship. It's need based in the sense of like it's not everyone that apply that will get, but people that need it. So if your employer can sponsor your event, right, then obviously use your employer to get. But if you need it, let's say as a first-time speaker, if you're a first-time speaker or you've never been to the country before, your chances are they would like accept you and guarantees acceptance. And why I'm saying this is because that's what I've done to use to like go to these conferences all over the world, right? And then in Asia, there's the four open source Asia conferences. Then in US, you have the Kansas City Developer Conference, KCDC. This one you don't need to apply. So long as you're a speaker, you get automatic like acceptance to the conference and stuff like that. Then in Australia, there's everything open in need-based application. There's community over code in EU and the Americas and stuff like that. Then all things open in the US. There's PyCons all over the world. Someone reached out to me regarding like attending PyCon and all, right, and with funding and stuff like that. So PyCon in the Africa, PyCon in US, PyCon in Americas and stuff, and all these, right? They give funding. And as we did in the last one, I just want to open the website, right? So you can see the Linux Foundation events. There are so many happening, right, in different locations. So you can also go here. For example, let me show you funding for this KubeCon North America, China, KubeCon China rather. So I can just click on it and go to the program or attend. Okay, the travel funding is not open yet. Let me look for another conference. So KubeCon Japan should be open. Yes, you can get scholarship. So KubeCon Japan, you can go, you can see scholarship and travel funding, right? You can scroll, you can see the deadline. It explains how to get the funding. So there are a lot of conferences, Linux Foundation conferences. Also, we can go to PyCon events. I can go to PyCon. Let me go to the PyCon US and go to speaker guidelines, right? And see that they offer travel grants are available to speakers. I don't know if you can see it. I can zoom in. Travel grants will be available to speakers, right? So let that not deter you. So a lot of these conferences all over the world offer travel grants, right? And it's just for you to like keep your eye out and apply, right? And when you get accepted to speak, you guarantee that. So many events offer that. So let me go back to slideshow mode. And now, but how do you write the application? Right? So when we see application, we might think about job application and stuff, and it scares people. I totally understand. Me personally, I get a lot of errors every day from several application, both conferences and stuff like that. So it's part of the game, right? So how do you write an application? So the good thing is that like I've done that before, and I've had so many of my applications help other people. For like Linux Foundation related events, I've made public my application that got me to attend in 2022. So this is 4 years now. And up until now, that application has still been helping people. Someone reached out to me at the beginning of the year. He told me he wanted to apply in November 2025. And at the beginning of the year, around February, got accepted, right? The travel funding for KubeCon in EU, European Union, in Amsterdam. So you can scan this. Video is paused. Video is paused. The video is paused. Does it have maybe it's your internet or network? Can someone like verify? Can someone else verify that they can still see my screen? Can someone verify they can still see my screen? Oh, works for you. Okay, so maybe Elaine, you can check your internet, right, and stuff like that. Okay, works for everyone. So you can scan this, and this would help you. The chances of getting accepted is very high because like it has helped 20 plus people, right? But when I was in the US in Atlanta, I know a few people that use my application to get there. So scan this, and if you're targeting at the Linux Foundation conference, you can use it to like apply. And also, since you came for this event, right, this masterclass, reach out to me, all right? And when I have the time, I can help you review your application and stuff like that, right? And let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Any other ways? Yes, there are other ways to get funding. And this is pretty unconventional, but it works. Your company. If you're working for a tech company, most tech companies are willing to sponsor you to learn, right? I've heard some from my friends, like in the EU, their companies give them a per diem, right? A learning budget and stuff like that. Also, some case by case basis, right? You just have to ask. And here is a typical example. I gave it this talk in September last year with if my a friend through the community Shiva Deep, and he came to London, right? And his company sponsored. So how did his company sponsor? He once he got the application accepted, he reached out to them and they gave him a budget to go, so hotel and everything. So a lot of companies, right, sponsor. So his company may be an outlier, but I know personally a lot of companies. I personally, when I've gone to the US several times, the company I used to work with have sponsored, right? So just ask. You're working for a tech company, just ask. If not possible, there are several ways to like get funding, like I've mentioned, right? So action item for you, scan that QR code. Let me go back to the QR code again. So scan that QR code to get like the Linux Foundation example of how to apply for conferences, right? For funding, and complete the action items on section 1 and section 2. So yeah, and I put a screenshot of the available travel funding, which I've already showed you for KubeCon Japan. So if you're in Asia or interested in traveling to Asia, right, you can apply to speak and apply for like for travel funding to this event, right? So yeah, we are moving with time, and that's good. Yeah, so to recap, right, select the conferences near you, right, for proximity's sake, or if you can't travel far and all. You need to strategically choose the conference, right, that aligns with your expertise, that aligns with what you want to talk about and stuff like that. If you're in the dev world, obviously you shouldn't start applying to speak at, like, let's say, a very security focused conference if you have not worked in dev security, right? So let it align with your expertise. So use this proven CFP framework to improve your acceptance rate. This is coming from someone that reviews CFPs on a month-to-month basis and organize conferences, right? So you can use that, and also when you get the toolkit, you can use that like to um, align your CFP and all, right, and stuff like that. Then apply to secure funding. And coming from someone that I've been securing funding 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, right, over the past 8 years, right, several times. There was one year I was in like three different countries in a span of 3 months, right, all fully funded by the different organizers and different organizations, right. So it is possible. So you follow through that method, find the conferences that offer funding, apply, and your chances of getting in will be high, right, and get the funding. So yeah, so this has been a great masterclass. Don't worry. Oh, the full meaning of CFP: call for proposals or call for papers. Yes. So don't worry, we'll soon get to the Q&A very soon, right? And this has been like a great masterclass. You might be feeling this, right? That I know how to speak now, right? Then there are some of you that feel that, oh, this has been a great masterclass, right? That you need my help. You want to work with me. And why is this? Because a lot of people have been reaching out to me for years right now to work with me and all, but I've not really had the time to do that. But I've started, right, and I've created something for that in speaking, LinkedIn, technical writing, and all that. So there's an opportunity to work with me on the engineer authority program. So I've created a 6 weeks accelerator for engineers looking to build visibility, right, network, and career leverage, because this has worked for me. Like we spoke just about one aspect, speaking, that worked for me and elevated my career beyond like my understanding, right? And before beyond my dreams. And so I've created this accelerator to help engineers, right, achieve similar goals. And engineers who join the program, right, they feel invisible in the sense of like they are respected, they are known in their company, but outside of their company, no one knows them. Right? And this now creates a fear, especially when we're seeing the layoffs, the sad news, and the AI taking over our world, right? So every people that join this program, people that have joined so far, right, they want security. They want that security of having like options. And then the next part of people, right, and ambitious. They're very ambitious people. They want to be beyond average. They want to achieve great things, right, and all. So, and then there are some other people that fits all this category, right? I'll call them. I don't want to use the word crazy, but I'll call them crazy people because like they just want to achieve great things and they want to live beyond the average and the terms of everyone, right? And this program is available for people that have 2+ years experience because obviously I wouldn't recommend someone that's just starting their career. Yes, you can start giving talks at the beginning of your career, but there are certain things that experience, right, helps you a lot to do. All right. And I'm not saying, yeah, if you have 1 year experience, you shouldn't apply to give talk. You can get started doing meetups and stuff like that, right? But for this program, you would require like 2+ years experience. And like yeah, some engineers have like helped build authority and visibility right over the years. And like I'm shocked most times when I reflect on like the impact, right? Because like a senior principal engineer, I've helped him like several times on talks, LinkedIn, and also writing technical articles. And another principal engineer working at Akamai, which is a leading CDN, content delivery and cloud company, right? Then my Nigerian sister Molade at a DevOps engineer at Max, then Jibril and at Cosgraph and Amarachi, Asaidero Raps, and Tarak, right? I don't know if you follow me on LinkedIn, you see that I interact with Tarak a lot. I helping him like achieve his goals from a community aspect, right? And these are engineers that have like been through what I'm gonna talk about and we're gonna do in this program. And the goal is to get the coaching you need, right? From a conference speaking perspective, building a personal brand on LinkedIn, cementing your space in the world through technical writing. Because like in this landscape, as we can see with AI now, with the entire companies and layoffs and everything, right? Any added help, right, would help you go well far in your career and also beyond your career. Because I know a lot of engineers are thinking of building something, right? And like to build something, you need the appropriate network, you need the appropriate access, you need people to do demos with, and you need people to do stuff with and all, right? For example, I worked with Jibril, I think 2 years ago, right, to speak at a conference in Houston, right? So that was like a nice experience. And one of the things that like ignited the idea of doing something like this, right? And several other people that have helped along the way, like I showed you. So get the coaching you need, right? And access to a private community. So I created a community. I know a few people that I was on this presentation, right? On this call, this masterclass that are in this community, right? You get access to the private community support to work with engineers. And some of the engineers that I mentioned, right, are in the community. And also you get access to workbook templates, frameworks, right? So I've shared some in this presentation, but there's more that I've used over the years. And also get access to this workbook. And from a perspective, the goal is to handhold you to achieve those goals. So I'll work with you personally to achieve these goals on speaking, building a personal brand, and also on LinkedIn, and also technical writing. And a common question, right, that I get, and also a question that I had me starting to do this. I don't want to become an influencer. I just want to like grow and help people. So that's the perspective. The goal is not to become like a LinkedIn influencer or to become like a tech influencer, but the goal is to have authority, to build network, to build career leverage, so that if things happen, right, you have more options. So also live weekly calls. So get a call with me every week, 2 calls every week to talk about like several aspects of these LinkedIn calls like this, more in depth and more interactive in the sense you can ask questions and all that. And also, this is everything you get. Right? So from helping LinkedIn strategy, conference speaking support. So I'll personally review your CFPs, right? Tell you conferences to target. And in some case by case basis, I might know the organizer of that particular conference, and I can put like a recommendation or a referral to get you accepted, right? Just like I did for like Shiva Deep, we got to talk accepted at SRE days because I knew the organizers, right? And we got the talk accepted in a few days and all, right? And the private community and accountability. Think about it from the perspective of you can Google your way, you can search, you can ask AI and all, right? But for everyone here, right, that have come so far in your career, you know this so different working with someone that have already done it for you, working with someone that's already done it, right? And that's what have helped me grow so far because I always get help, right? Whatever I need to do to get the help from someone that have already done what I want to do. So like I'm not making the same mistakes because several times I've made mistakes because of I don't get the necessary support. So this is everything you get, right? So you can get these results. I've already mentioned Shiva Deep. You reached out to me. You can see the message. I don't know if you can see it clearly. You can see the message. I think I can zoom in. Can I zoom in? No, I can't zoom in. So you can see the message. You reached out to me, right, to co-present on Oracle on K8 and all. I, as at that time, was working in a database as a service company, building building custom databases on vanilla based on vanilla database infrastructure, Postgres, MariaDB, and all. That's beyond what we're talking about, right? So, yeah, and by later that year, like I mentioned, we are giving a talk together in SRED. Before he was getting rejected, and now we gave a talk together. And since then, he has spoken at several conferences, right, and events. So Chad, for example, helped him with Cube Skills. I don't know if you've heard of Cube Skills. If you're in the Kubernetes space, he's the founder of Cube Skills, and also principal engineer at SRE at Akama, right? And this is Dashit, who is a senior principal engineer, right? And I've helped him like for the past like 1 year on conference talks, technical writing and stuff like that. And also I was lucky, right, to help him in his re-event slide. I've never spoken at re-event, so I can say by proxy I've spoken at the event because I helped him align his side. And it was one of the best rated conferences at the entire event that was attended by 100,000 engineers. Another question I want to ask you, right? Okay, someone is saying video is paused. Can other people like check if it's paused or not? Can other people? Okay, still works for you. So Abib, maybe is your internet. Can you like check your internet and stuff? Regardless, you get the recording and all, right? So I want you to think about it from this perspective. If this experienced engineer, Shiva Deep is an expert DBA that have been working for like 20 years, right? SREs and stuff like that. If these experienced engineers see the need to build authority, if these experienced engineers see the need to like show up on LinkedIn to give conference talks, they are the top tier, earning the top tier salary and all, right? See this need to build stuff and to be more out there. Then what about like then is a challenge for everyone, right? Whether you're experienced or whether you're not experienced, right? Because the average of these three people I mentioned, the average experience is not of 20 years, right? But they are still doing more and trying to get out there because of the way the industry is moving and also because of the situation like the world is right now, and also because it guarantees authority in your own space, right? So yeah, then what about you? So why not like start creating? Whether you work with me, right, or by joining this program, or whether you do it on your own, right? But this is like a challenge to you because it's something that have changed my life coming from like where I came from, a small town in Nigeria. Then what about you? It definitely will change your life, and it has done for a lot of people, right? So we can go to the next slide before the question. So the question most people ask, right, me is, will this work for me? Right? My alternative question is, will you work for it? Because if you want to get a certification, for example, you pay for the certification, you still have to learn for it. You still have to learn the curriculum. If you pay for Code Cloud, for example, you get a Udemy course, or you pay for Code Academy, or you pay for whatever platform, right? You still have to do the work to learn, right? So it's not mostly about like, will you work for it? Will this work for me? It's about, will you work for it? And coming from the experience of like doing the work, right? And many other people that have done the work and seen the results that I've shared you, if you do the work, there is a guarantee that it will work, right? Because you're not just doing it based on like watching a random YouTube video, but proximity to people that have done it, right? And they would also come like to share their experience and stuff like that. So another scenario I want you to think about, right, is this: who do you want to be? Do you want to be engineer A or engineer B? And how did this idea come into my mind? So I was at Bloomberg headquarters in Europe, in London, a few weeks ago, and a senior engineer, AI engineer at Bloomberg, invited me over to take a tour and all and chat, right? And he was talking about LinkedIn and stuff. He has been creating posts on LinkedIn and all, right? So take a moment and think, for example, if a senior engineer working in AI at Bloomberg, which is $1 billion company, obviously he's earning like top tier salary, right? He's thinking about posting of LinkedIn. He's thinking about giving tough conference talk. He's thinking about writing technical articles. So what about like you? What about you? Whether you're being at a startup, whether you're at a scale up, right? Whether you're at a Fortune 500 company, what about you? Because we know how the world is going, right? You need to have more control. And that came to me. Then this scenario came to me. Do you want to be engineer A or engineer B? So engineer, right? Let's say, imagine a scenario that there are two engineers that got laid off from AWS. It's a sad thing, but I'm just trying to create a scenario, right? They both have same level of experience, right? 5 years experience, same tech stack, same role and all, right? But engineer B has given 10 talks at like an industry leading conference. Also, he has 500 connections on LinkedIn and he has met a lot of people in the industry and stuff like that, right? If a recruiter is trying to hire, who will they reach out to first? Now, if they both apply for the same job, who will they consider first? So I just want you to, I'm not giving you an answer, but I want you to think about it and think about which engineer do you want to be, right? Because like the way I was saying, while we are going now, like nothing is guaranteed, right? So you have to take more control by accessing opportunities, by being an outlier, standing out. So how can you join the Engineer Authority program? So I will send a link to the chat, right? And also you can scan this QR code to apply and book a call with me. I will talk more. And for everyone like that applies before 11:59 p.m. EST, which is a few hours from now, right? So the code is in the chat. You get an early bird discount, like to work with me and have access to all what I've talked about, right? And once you apply, you get in the call, I'll answer more questions you have. And now, anyone here, if you have any question, you can like ask a question in the chat. And this is like a Q&A session because we have just 10 more minutes more. So you can ask question on the chat now and ask me about like all what I've talked about from conferences, community and all, and also about the program and all. So yeah, I see the first question from the past say, what's the full meaning of CFP? Okay, I think we've answered this. Uh, Meaning of CFP, call for papers or call for proposals. So it's basically like a request, like what you prepare to submit to an to a conference, right? In order to be accepted to speak at the conference. So you can use the chat to ask a question, or you can use the Q&A on the other side, on the right side, to ask a question. All right, so I will just, yeah, be looking at the chat now, waiting for the questions. Oh, yes, yes, yes. So the slide and everything will be sent to your mail. The slide, the full presentation will be sent to your mail. Okay, so I see the first question. What if I don't want to speak but just attend for a start? Can I still get funding? Yes, perfectly. You can get funding whether you want to speak or just attend, right? So if I go to this, right, these screenshots, or wow, how many slides ago? So this particular event that I put here, I was attending. I was not a speaker. I was just an attendee. Right? So you can get funding to apply to speak, to attend, right? So that's it. Then I see the next question. Where are we supposed to apply to the Engineering Authority program? So you can scan this QR code. 1, 2, few seconds more. You can scan this QR code here, right? You can also check the link. Let me send the link again to the chat. You can also send the link. Yeah, I'll send the link again to chat. You can see it in the chat. Then I see another question. How do you approach speaking on topics that are slightly out of your comfort zone? So that's a very, very good question, right? So, like, for me personally, I love speaking on topics that are out of my comfort zone because it will spur me to learn more, about that topic, right? So I may know one aspect, right? But I may not know every aspect. So when you have an idea that's out of your comfort zone, see it as a challenge to learn more about that topic. See it as a challenge to learn more, and then you share. And if you remember that saying, right, that when you know something enough to teach somebody, that means you know it very well. So think about it for that perspective. So study more. And also one thing I do, I reach out to subject matter experts. So I'm giving a talk, but I'm not a know-it-all. So I can reach out to people that have given talks on that topic before, similar topics, and also people that have expertise in that field, engineers. Get on a call with them, ask them questions, ask them to review your CFP, ask them to give you feedback on like your slides, right, before the presentation and all that. So that's my approach to that question, Jibril. Then I see a question, say, for people that haven't had a real tech job but only building personal projects, does it devalue their CFP? I would say no, because the CFP, if you've done a very unique project, right, and you write a detailed CFP and you link to the project and you explain to the organizers that, oh, this talk is based on this project. Me being an organizer and being a program committee reviewer and working with a lot of program committee reviewers all over the world on different international conferences, and both in Africa and Europe, you get accepted if you have a great CFP. It's all about what you're going to deliver, right? The credibility is based why are you credible enough to talk about this? If you're working on a personal project, and you want to talk about what you've worked on, then you're credible enough. So I hope that answers your question, Chidiaji. So I go to the Q&A session again. So I see a question from Chandana. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrongly. I've been talking all day. So what are the qualifications to be a speaker of these conferences? So the qualification is just like, I would say, having experience or understanding of what you want to talk about. That is the main qualification that I would say. Having experience or understanding, right, of what you want to talk about. So once you pick a conference title, once you pick you write the CFP and all, right, you study on the topic and all, you can always like reach out to people, right, to ask their feedback on this, on the CFP. You can also reach out to the event organizers. So there are several times I want to apply for a conference. I reach out to the event organizer to help me to review the talk. And the event organizer would still be in the panel that accepts the talk or not. Right. So that is a trick that I learned. Right? I want to go for apply to speak at a talk, right? I create the CFP and reach out to the event organizer. So I would say the qualification is just having enough understanding of what you want to talk about and experience in what you want to talk about. Then the main power there is writing a detailed CFP. I can share that I've denied a lot of CFPs from people that are very, very experienced per se, because their CFP doesn't deliver on those requirements and stuff like that, right? Because their CFP doesn't meet on those requirements. So the next question I see, what would you say? Would you say projects are important for demonstrating knowledge in cases where the topic is outside the comfort zone? Yes, I would say that if you have a project, that is good. If you have something that you've done that you can show, right, it's a great way to like demonstrate like knowledge on that, right? And also, if you've written an article on that thing, whether it be a technical article or a top leadership article or any type of article, that also demonstrates because you've put something out there that people have read, right? So that's also demonstrates. So it can be, or if you've done like a Twitter thread or you've made a LinkedIn post about that topic, that is something that can demonstrate, right? So let me check. Are there other questions? I think I saw a few questions that have since disappeared. I don't know. Maybe it's this pride. I know. But yeah, we still have like 5 more minutes. So if you have more questions, you can just like ask the question. Perfect. I say question, can a thesis be used for demonstrating knowledge? I would say that is the best kind of demonstration of knowledge because that means you worked on it for hours and hours and hours and hours. So a thesis is perfect. I've seen several talks about thesis in I've even reviewed talks that is related to like academic endeavors and stuff. So I would recommend that you go for that, right? And there's one thing I want everyone that is here to think about, right, or have in mind. Look at things from an outlier perspective. How can your supposed disadvantage be your advantage? So now you may see like, oh, thesis is academic, it's not really in the industry. But then again, it's an advantage to you because not everyone is talking about thesis. Not everyone is talking about like the academic study and research and stuff like that. So think about it for that way. Like let every of your disadvantage, right, turn it to be your like advantage. Right? So I hope that answers your question, Delight. So while we still have like 4 minutes left, so can everyone that is still here tell me like how was it? How do you feel? How like do you feel like you learned a thing or two about like while joining this event? Can you like give me some feedback and stuff like that? Oh, another question is coming in hot. So would what would you say most people misunderstand about conference speaking? I would say most people misunderstand in the fact they think it's just for a certain type of people, right? It's just for people that have spoken at conferences before. It's just for people in large companies. Oh, I have to be an expert of this. Oh, I have to be working for like X amount of years and all like that. But as with most things in life, right, it's just to try. So that is the common misunderstanding. Feeling like you're not worthy, feeling like you're not qualified. But if you try, you may be shocked of how far you have come. You will come, right? For example, me trying, right, and this how far it has brought me, like in this industry and in tech as a whole. So why not you try, right? Thank you for that question, Gloria. That's a very good question. So we just have 3 more minutes to go. So if you're interested in joining this committee, so you go this community, you go, you book a call, you answer these questions. What's the English? You scan the QR code, answer the questions, book a call to chat with me, and you get the opportunity to work with me. And also on I got some good news to share. So people that like so I got feedback that she will be also be coming to talk about community building because he leads the serverless community in Australia and several AWS community. And also Tarak told me, who is a co-founder of InfraCode Base, Tarak told me you love to come, right, and be part of the community and the coaching calls and stuff like that. So he will be talking about building a business, right, building a tech business because he's a co-founder of InfraCode Base, which is an AI infrastructure generation tooling, just like Kuso, but for infrastructure and DevOps, right? And they have clients from Wells Fargo to big companies in the US and Europe. So he will come to share about like his experience building a business based on visibility and authority. I know. So I see a question from Adeze. They say, are there opportunities for product managers to speak in some of them? Yes, there are. Right. So let me go to some of the uh list of events. Where do I find that? So list of events, right? So you're a product manager, you led like a project and stuff like that. There's this project, there's this conference, community over code. There is all things open. So most of these conferences, they are not focused on only engineers. I've reviewed CFPs from product managers, from designers, on even DevOps related events, right? So that's look at it from me again, look at it from the angle of you being unique, right? And you bringing a different perspective to the conference. Most people, everybody loves a different perspective to every reviewer, program committee member love a different perspective to a conference because conferences have to be unique. A lot of Linux Foundation conferences and all and that, right? So apply. Yes, you can speak at every developer conference because you're leading developers to build like a project. So I think you even have more expertise, right? Talking about certain topics in a project. Let me go back to the QR code in case some people want to scan. Yeah. So I see another question. Okay, not a question. So if there's any other question, we are past the time, but I'll still spend some time here. If anyone is still here, I see 38 people are still here live. So if you have any question, I will spend at least 10 more minutes here to answer more questions if you have any. Okay, I see more question. Oh, you're welcome, Before Loa. I'm so happy to hear this. Thank you very much, Ola Tokumbo. I appreciate. Yeah, I'm so happy to read this because I spent like ungodly hours of my time working on this presentation. But I'm so happy like it helped. And now I just hope this is recording, right? Because I'm using it too. This is my first time using this webinar jam. But I believe it's recording, so I can have this up and everyone can also upload it on YouTube and you can check it over time. Anyone can yeah. Thank you very much, Osana. Yeah, looking forward to seeing you in the program. Yeah, yes. Looking forward to seeing you there. And this is gonna be like the program, I believe, right, and I know, right, because of the results so far, it's gonna help a lot of people and help the community in general. Because like one thing I've come to understand, right, especially for people like me, I'm Nigerian, I'm black, I'm underrepresented. I'm putting it in quotes, right? What helped me is seeing people that have done it, that have achieved things, right? And sometimes just being crazy enough to try. So if more people, right, can try, more people can have that representation, right? We all get better as humans, right? We all get better. So yeah, thank you very much for this feedback. I did. Let me go back to the live slide again. So if there are no more questions, 30 more seconds and I will drop off and call it a day. And I will send email of the recording and also link to the program again. And other resources like the toolkit and stuff over the next coming days. So thank you very much for spending your evening if you're in Africa or in the EU or in Asia with me. And also if you're the Americas, their afternoon or morning, right? If you're in the West Coast. Thank you very much. And do have a great back rest of the day and evening, right? For me, I'm going to watch the Manchester United game. I hope I don't cry. I hope they play good football. So cheers, everyone.